friends, thanks for stopping by. In the last video, I shared how to use the Floral Butterfly Cut File by Paige Evans to make this card base in Silhouette Studio. And in this video, we'll actually go through how I put the card together. And so let's start right there. So after you've used the cut file you created, the very first thing that I did was quilt the butterfly with a Paige Evans stencil. They're available on her website, and I'll leave a link in the description box. I used her Doily stencil. It's the perfect size for card projects, and the way that I got it to cover most of the butterfly was to center that middle flower between the two wings, the upper and lower wing. And I use my old coffee cards from Starbucks or wherever your favorite coffee comes from to make spatulas. And I always have a spare one laying around after it's used up. And I particularly like the Prima texture paste just because it's nice and light and it dries perfectly white. So I do like that white on white look. So I'll go ahead and stencil the other half, and we'll get to inking the vellum that goes beneath the floral butterfly. The paper on the front of the card is paper 12 from the beautiful Bloom Street, and the paper inside is paper 5, and you'll see the measurements on the screen. We're going to go ahead and ink the vellum, and I used archival inks because they dry permanently and won't smudge. And I chose the colors based on the paper on the inside. It was blues and pinks and some brighter pinks and of course green. And I use these little brushes with felt on the end just because I had them in my stash from oh so long ago. You could use whatever you like to put the ink on with, and it's all very random, no rhyme, no reason, just turning the butterfly and adding the colors so that they appear in a few different spots. And I actually went back after and reapplied a different blue because I didn't feel like the blue I had chosen showed up dark enough on the vellum. You can be quite generous and even let it dry for a few minutes and go back and put on a second layer to get the colors really vibrant. They don't show well if you're just looking at the vellum, but once you put it on white, then you'll really see how beautiful the colors are. So once you have the vellum colors the way you like them, it's time to glue the floral wing onto the vellum, and then that'll be placed on the front of your card. And what I used to apply glue to the back of the floral wing was my two-way glue pen, the Squeeze and Roll by Zig. It has a metal tip and a little ball that you squeeze near the top of the pen to dispense your glue. It's liquid glue, and when you press down on the tip, it'll dispense a little, very tiny bit of glue as you go along. So I'm not applying the glue heavily, just enough that it will sufficiently be able to adhere to the vellum once you glue the two pieces together, but not too heavy because you don't want glue to be shown on the vellum because you will be able to see that. So just put your two pieces together, maybe put a piece of paper over top just so that you can lightly squeeze the two pieces together, and there you have it. So let's put our card together. If you added the score lines in Silhouette Studio, we can go ahead and fold the card base at the 6-inch and 3-inch mark. If you didn't add the score lines in Silhouette Studio, this is where you'll get out your score pal and score the card base at 6 and 3. So we fold back the front wing, and I have a silicone bone folder, and this is a must for card makers. It allows you to make tidy folds but not break the paper. So you see the measurements for the pattern paper pieces again on the screen, And I'm using my Tomboy permanent but repositionable tape dispenser because for some reason I can never get things on quite straight like you see there, and I don't like to worry about ripping the paper, especially if you've just done all this work on your card. So we'll just go ahead and use our bone folder to adhere it neatly. And if you have a sanding block, mine is by Kaiser, that's just a great way to sand off anything that might be hanging over the edge. It just makes for a real tidy job, and for me it's easier than getting out the scissors. That's usually where I really mess up. And so we're going to glue the inside, and again you saw the measurements there on the screen, and we're almost finished our card. These two patterns from Bloom Street just mixed so nicely. When I made the cards for the Paige Evans Silhouette Design Team, I just had so much fun choosing two papers for each card, and the embellishment pack just seems to go on, and there's so many choices. So I hope you're enjoying Bloom Street as much as I am. Everything in Bloom Street collection really just speaks to my heart. I love the pastels, and I love the fresh spring mix of patterns, and I just feel really blessed to be on Paige's Silhouette Design Team. So let's go ahead and adhere the floral butterfly wing to the front fold of the card, and the second part of the card there, I just left it blank. If you have a greeting that you want to stamp in there, that's a good spot to do it, but I always just like writing a personal message. So I've chosen the floral spray with the banner that says beautiful. For the front of this butterfly, there's just so many pieces of ephemera to choose from, but I'm making this with a special friend in mind, and that embellishment was perfect. So we'll just hold it for a tad till our glue dries. So I added holes to the cut file for the quilted butterfly that sits inside, and I have a separate video here on my channel that shows you exactly how to do that. But you know, if you choose not to stitch on your projects, you can just skip ahead past the stitching part of the video. But for anyone else, I've stitched around the butterfly with a simple chain stitch, and I'm going to show you the last few stitches in case you want to try it yourself. I do also have a separate video that shows you chain stitching on paper. Basically, you just go through a hole and pass your needle under the previous stitch and pull that through, and then just go back down the hole you came from. And we'll do another one. I'm going to go in the next hole. See it there? Come to the front, pass your needle under the stitch you just made, and go back down the hole you came from. And it's just that easy. So we'll just speed through to the finished butterfly. Just had a couple more stitches to make there. Do visit my other video where the lighting might have been a little bit better. It was getting late when I was finishing this card, and it might be just a little hard to see there, so I apologize for that. I think the chain stitching adds a really nice detail to me. It's like frosting on a cake that just surrounds all the nice quilting you did with your texture paste and stenciling. But I understand not everybody loves stitching as much as I do. And so I'm using my foam tape to pop up the butterfly, and I just use one piece in the middle of the butterfly so I can leave the wings just loose, because I think they add some nice texture, and that isn't going to go anywhere, as you don't really need more tape than that. So I went ahead and pulled out some puffy alpha stickers. They're from the Whimsical collection, and I had a couple packs of these at one time. I've used them on so many projects. I just love them. I love all the colors that are available. And then one sheet had just a really light pink. And I chose an X from the really light pink collection of alphabets so that I could go ahead and color it with my mauve Copic pen because I thought that might match the inside paper a little better. The Copic pens are alcohol ink and they dry permanently and they're not going to smudge on the inside of your card. And then just to finish off the card, I add a few sequins opposite my XO greeting and I glued those on with just some liquid glue from my fine line bottle. So thanks so much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed the video. There are some close-ups coming up, and if you had any questions about anything in the video, just leave me a comment down below. There are some links to information in the description box, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.